Welcome back. And so now let's try to understand what exactly is happening with the Museum of West African Arts, MOWAA, in Benin City, Edo State. What is the status of that museum? Joining us now to tell us more about this and of course other issues in Edo State is Mr. Buji Okwemoy. He's a spokesperson to Governor Monday Okpevolo. He joins us virtually from Benin City, the Edo State capital. Good morning, Mr. Okwemoy. Pardon me, I hope I got your name correctly.
I'll give you a 95.
I'll take that and learn to pronounce it better. Onward from here. Yes, indeed. So let's understand how it is, because we've heard the governor provide explanation to the effect that he didn't know about the visit of the foreign visitors to the museum. Had he known, things would have been different. What were the handover notes, if any, from the former administration to this administration in terms of the handling and the business of the museum?
Okay, thank you very much. To put things in proper perspective and to help people understand the situation with MOWAA, it's important I give a background on how we got here. So, at the root of the MOWAA controversy are the Benin artifacts that were returned, that are being returned from the foreign countries where they were taken to after the 1897 British invasion. Now, two Obas before this one started this drive. Oba Akinzua II, who fought for it and transferred that mandate to his son, Oba Eridiawa, who did the same and transferred to this particular monarch. What's the contention? These items, I mean, people refer to them as artifacts, but these things are not artifacts. They are deeper than artifacts. These are personal property of the palace. These things have spiritual and cultural value, and for as long as they stayed outside where they were supposed to be, they had implications. Now, some years back, thankfully, some foreign governments decided, okay, they were ready. But the question was, like they say, the reason we even can be talking about artifacts now is because they were properly preserved over the years. So naturally, these governments and international organizations were concerned about the preservation of these artifacts. So part of the agreements that was had in returning the artifacts was that a world-class standard museum that would preserve those artifacts very effectively would be established in Benin. Of course, all of this was in engagement with the Benin royal family, who own these artifacts. And the president Oba got in touch with it was a conversation he started with Comrade Adam Sushumole, and immediately the past governor, Governor Godwin Obaseki, came into office. He also made that same request that the state should assist in having a Benin Royal Museum built to house those artifacts. And the governor then, Governor Obaseki, publicly at the second coronation anniversary of Omonoba, stated publicly that the state government was in talks with foreign donors to set up the Benin Royal Museum. Now, after that commitment was made, not too long after, of course, there became a tussle. Maybe because the past government, saw the money, because restitution money was also going to be paid in addition to money that was coming for building the museum. Maybe they got interested in that, and suddenly the palace was cut out of all communication about the artifact, the museum project. But this is narrated by the Oba himself a couple of days ago when he was at the palace. And then he said suddenly from nowhere, they came up with a new arrangement called the Legacy Restoration Trust that did not have the input of the palace, that did not have, it was just totally, the palace was totally sidelined. At the end of the day, the government began to claim a right to those artifacts. And it was the matter that got to the presidency under the leadership of the late President Buhari, and the federal government decided that the proper thing to do was for those artifacts to go to the palace, because these are personal property. These are items that are very central to Benin tradition and Benin worship. Apparently seeing that they weren't going to be able to get those artifacts for the museum again, suddenly everything changed, and then that was where this MOWAA contraption came up. MOWAA had nothing to do with the palace, had nothing to do with. And what's more shocking is that we find out that this MOWAA entity got about 3.8 billion of Edo State resources and was given prime land I mean, the value of that land today is over 11 billion naira. But yet we have been told that it's a private entity that has no stake whatsoever of the state government. And so, of course, as these things came out, a lot of Beninese who hold their monarchy in very high esteem and regard, the governor was concerned that such amount of resources were committed to the MOWAA situation, and I mean, the state has no stake. Of course, you look at the sociocultural consequences. I mean, it got to the point where some people even had to protest to the government house about the opening. While these issues were on, the governor had sent some details to the House of Assembly to investigate the MOWAA project and the Radisson Book project. Suddenly, we heard that they were planning an opening, and that wasn't acceptable to a couple of people. But thankfully, on that day, the police was on the ground, and they were able to properly inform the guests of what the situation was and why the ceremony couldn't really take place. So that's where we are with the MOWAA situation. It has a lot of there's a serious lack of transparency. I mean, we heard the German ambassador at the visit to the governor say 900 million euros were donated by the German government to MOWAA. We initially thought it was much less, but I mean, we heard her say 900 euros. Let's even assume she made a mistake and meant to say 90 million euros. That's a whole lot of money. We're also aware that the proprietors of that place went to look for donations from Nigerian investors. So much resources went in. And also, it was just a project that had so much shrouded that wasn't very clear. And so investigations are ongoing to identify the circumstances.
So Mr. Kwame, what is now going to be like the way forward, and what is the big controversy? And now I'm happy the way you put out the entire picture for us to see. So I'd like you to speak to the issue of revocation. That's on one hand. On the other hand, is it that the government now wants to say, okay, this is a brilliant idea, we will have a stake in it, the palace will have a stake in it, or no, ab initio, this was not good in the first place? So give us a clear picture of what the conversation is right now going forward.
Okay, those are possible scenarios you just mentioned. The State House of Assembly is investigating on behalf of the people of Edo State, the intricacies of that arrangement between the proprietors and all the other stakeholders. The governor has set up an internal team. That's on the government side. The ambassadors that came in for that opening, the next day, the governor met with them, explained the situation to them, also took them to the palace of the Oba of Benin to meet with the Oba, who also explained the circumstances. Apparently, what's happening is that the foreign governments who donated to that program, huge resources in terms of materials and finance, were not kept in the true picture. I mean, for example, the German government would not, and other governments would not have dealt with any entity that was not representing the Benin Palace or did not have a stake. But I mean, the Oba, if you check the address of the Oba at the government house, he addressed a lot of all that. So now that the embassies and the donors and the stakeholders are aware of the true situation, conversations are ongoing to see, I mean, how the situation can be remedied. Governor Monday Okpebholo is somebody who's pro-business, who's pro-investment, very pro-investment. He wouldn't want anything that Edo resources have been committed to go to waste. So, I mean, the government is engaging with the stakeholders while the assembly is doing what they are doing to see the best situations that can come out. Like you mentioned some of the scenarios. Okay, how can we have a situation where the palace, who are the custodian of Benin culture, it's so sad that even the event that held the other day, I mean, you say you are bringing people for a cultural dialogue, foreigners, and the palace is not involved. The state government was not aware, which was a breach of protocol, which was a disrespect to the palace and all of that. So those conversations are ongoing to see the best outcomes, that can make everybody satisfied, the palace satisfied, because the funds that was used to build MOWAA was supposed to house the Benin artifacts. So all of that has to be put into place. Concerning the revocation, a bigger problem for the government and the people of Edo State with that project was that where that project is sited used to be the central hospital in Benin. That is a hospital that's over 100 years serving a large population of Benin people. That was one of the best healthcare centers where the average Benin man could go to access healthcare. That hospital was brought down, and the land was given to MOWAA, about 7 hectares of land. Now, in that same compound, just by the compound, there's another hospital called the Edo Specialist Hospital that was built by Comrade Adams Oshomole's administration. When that hospital was built, state-of-the-art, fantastic, health facility, plans were included in its design for expansion. For example, the hospital was supposed to be expanded to have a doctor's quarters, to have a mortuary, to have an emergency unit, to expand the wards. I mean, all those space was created in the design. Shockingly, the state government did not only demolish Central Hospital, give the whole land to MOWAA. All the land around the special hospital was also added to what was given to MOWAA. Where MOWAA presently occupies is less than 50% of the size of land that the former administration gave to MOWAA. So what we have is a situation where the specialist hospital cannot even expand. You can't. It's as bad as presently the septic tank, what we call the sockaway of the central hospital, needs to be expanded because of the volume it takes. There's no space to even expand the septic tank. Every land around it was given to was given to MOWAA. I mean, so what the government has done is the governor has told them you can't take on in the interest of public, in overriding public interest. The hospital needs land to expand. You are not going to deny Edo people access to healthcare because of your private business claim it is. So what the governor has done quickly for revocation is that they've told MOWAA that where they occupy presently is what will be given to them. Now, the other parts of the land have to be given back to the hospital. So the present COO has to be revoked for a new one to be prepared that captures where they are presently. So that's the situation with the revocation.
And that clarifies it. And from your explanation, it appears as if that's a lot of leverage given to MOWAA. Speaking of which, we hear that the youths are also protesting the nomenclature and are asking why it shouldn't be named the Benin Royal Museum. I wonder if that is part of what will be looked into as efforts are made to resolve the dispute. And I can't resist the urge to get this in. I was hoping that you would appear on the show this morning with your Tinubu cap or your quintessential, Buba and Shokoto that goes along with it. But I wonder if cabinet members in Governor Kwevolo's cabinet are uncomfortable with this desperate validation that we see oftentimes from your principal, to always want to please the president.
Catch me by 10 a.m. for my Tinubu cap. By 10 a.m. I'm going to be rocking it. So concerning MOWAA that you mentioned earlier on, I just gave you the background. That facility, in the eyes of the donors and the stakeholders who contributed to it, was supposed to be the Benin Royal Museum. Along the line, how that changed into the Legacy Restoration Trust or the MOWAA is what needs to be unraveled. But that facility, in the eyes of the donor, was supposed to be the Benin Royal Museum that was going to house the artifacts that were being brought back. So those are part of the things that the conversations that are going to go on to see how that can be remedied. I don't know what you mean by whether the members of the executive are. I don't know what you used the word now. You said desperate validation. That's a personal opinion. In every organization, they have policies that guide their culture and their staff. I mean, the organizations you go to where they suits, you must always be on a red tie. The organizations you go to where they say, oh, you must wear this color on Monday. I mean, it's normal. It's part of every organizational system. The governor who leads this particular organization has said, I want you to come to work in this particular outfit. And it's perfectly normal, just the same way you have in banks, you have in companies. That's what the governor has said. And the members of the State Executive Council have no issues at all. I mean, those of us in government still too great for what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has done. Hello, are you with us? Can you still hear me?
We can hear you. You can land on your thought.
Yes. Okay. So, I mean, we're very grateful for what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has done. A very common statement in Edo State today is where governors see money, when they see all he's doing.
Well, sir, it's not a personal. It's not a personal opinion. Evidence points to the repeated support for Mr. President from your principal's appearances, his address to the people, his commitment to delivering 2 million votes. We can mention quite a number of events where he has, restated that commitment. But we must anchor at this point. And thank you very much for coming on the show. We've been talking with Mr. Bugi Okwemoye, the essay on media and publicity to Edo State Governor Monday Kwevolo. Thank you for your time on the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, I wish you the very best on your, I think, first anniversary.
Yes, indeed.
I told Boogie that his governor will not be able to give the president 2 million votes. And I'm not changing that because I believe it's not true. The numbers, you know, we've done the analytics, voter apathy, previous turnout of numbers, you know, so what we've seen, whether it's act of excitement, but of course it's politics, governors now making promises they know in their conscience is a lie or it's not possible. But we would excuse it on the on the platform of politics anyway.